Listen, sometimes life throws so much at you. Storms, doubts, fears that grip your heart like a vice. You try to control every little thing, but it slips through your fingers like sand. Here's the truth, the weight of the world ain't meant for you alone to carry. You gotta learn to put everything in God's hands. When you let go, that's when freedom begins. Not because you stop caring, but because you trust there's a power bigger than your struggle, bigger than your pain. When you hand over your worries, your plans, your disappointments, you're not giving up. You're stepping into faith. Faith that even in the darkest nights, the light is working behind the scenes. It's about surrendering your battles, not out of weakness, but out of strength. The strength to believe that what's meant for you won't pass you by. What you're holding on to too tight might be what's holding you back. So release it. Trust the process. Trust the timing. Trust the hand that guides you when you can't see the way. Remember, you're not walking alone. Every setback, every trial, every tear, it's part of a bigger story being written just for you. When you put everything in God's hands, you're choosing peace over panic, hope over fear, purpose over chaos. That's where real power lies. Not in trying to control, but in learning to let go and let faith lead you forward. True freedom comes when you release control and put your worries and struggles in God's hands. Surrendering is not weakness, but a powerful act of faith and trust in a higher plan. Holding on too tightly to your problems can hold you back from your purpose and growth. Life's challenges are part of a bigger story that God is writing just for you. Choosing to trust God brings peace, hope, and strength even in the darkest times. True freedom comes when you release control and put your worries and struggles in God's hands. It's a simple idea, but it's one of the hardest things to practice. We live in a world that tells us to hustle nonstop, to grip tight to every plan, every dream, every outcome. From the moment you wake up, there's pressure, pressure to be perfect, to succeed, to fix every problem yourself. But here's the secret. When you try to carry everything alone, when you cling to control like it's your lifeline, you don't find freedom. You find chains. True freedom doesn't come from managing every detail or forcing things to happen your way. It comes from the moment you realize that some things aren't yours to fix. Your worries, your fears, the weight of your failures and disappointments. They're heavy. They wear you down. They keep you awake at night. But when you choose to place them in God's hands, when you consciously release your grip on what you think must be done, or how it must be done, something shifts inside. A deep peace begins to grow. Think about it like this. You're carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Each stone is a worry, a fear, a burden. You try to carry it all yourself because you feel like if you don't, no one else will. But every step becomes harder, your shoulders ache, and your energy drains. Now, imagine setting that backpack down in a safe place. You don't have to carry it anymore. You're free to walk tall, breathe deeply, and see the path ahead clearly. That's what it's like when you put your life in God's hands. This act of releasing control isn't about giving up or being passive. It's about choosing faith over fear, trust over anxiety. It's saying, I don't have all the answers, but I believe there is one who does. I'm handing this over because I believe what's meant for me will come in its right time. That's where true freedom lives, not in your ability to control every outcome, but in your willingness to trust the process. When you hold tight to control, you create tension in your mind and heart. Your thoughts race, your body feels restless, and your spirit grows weary. You can't sleep because your brain won't stop planning, worrying, strategizing. You replay mistakes and imagine worst case scenarios. But when you hand it over to God, you open a door for rest. You allow yourself to exhale, to trust that the unseen hands guiding you are stronger and wiser than your own. Freedom also comes from knowing you're not alone. When you put everything in God's hands, you acknowledge a presence that walks beside you through every challenge. You're not facing your struggles in isolation. This changes your perspective. Instead of being overwhelmed by the weight of your problems, you see them as part of a journey where you're supported by grace. That support gives you strength to keep moving. even when the road is tough. Moreover, releasing control frees you from the burden of perfectionism. When you try to control every detail, you set yourself up for disappointment because life is unpredictable. Plans change, people let you down, circumstances shift. But freedom is found in embracing uncertainty with faith. You learn to say, I'll do my best, and then I'll trust the outcome to God. That mindset lifts a heavy load off your shoulders and lets you live with more joy and less stress. Putting your worries in God's hands also opens space for growth. When you stop trying to fix everything, you make room to learn and evolve. Challenges become lessons, setbacks become stepping stones. You become more patient, more compassionate, and more resilient. Freedom isn't just about feeling light. It's about becoming stronger inside. This kind of freedom impacts every part of your life. It affects how you relate to others, how you face your fears, and how you dream about the future. When you're free from the chains of control and anxiety, your relationships deepen because you're not carrying hidden burdens. You're more present, more loving, more authentic. Your fears lose their power because you're anchored in trust. Your dreams expand because you're no longer limited by what you think you must control. In reality, putting everything in God's hands is a daily practice, not a one-time event. It means waking up each morning and deciding to release your worries again. It means choosing to pray or meditate or simply breathe out your stress whenever it creeps back. It means remembering in moments of doubt that you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to hold on to faith. The freedom that comes from this is radical. It's a freedom that doesn't depend on your circumstances changing immediately. It's a freedom that says, even if I can't see the way, I trust the one who does. And that trust transforms you from the inside out. So when life feels overwhelming, when your plans fall apart, when your heart is heavy, remember, you don't have to carry it all. True freedom is waiting for you when you choose to release control and put everything in God's hands. It's there in the peace that fills your soul, the strength that rises in your spirit, and the hope that lights your path forward. That's the freedom worth fighting for. Surrendering is not weakness, but a powerful act of faith and trust in a higher plan. This is something many people struggle to understand because in a world that praises strength and control, surrender often gets mistaken for giving up or failing. But real surrender is the opposite of defeat. It's the courageous choice to stop fighting a battle you cannot win alone and instead place your trust in something greater than yourself. To surrender means to recognize that you don't have all the answers. It means accepting that your plans might not unfold exactly as you want, and that's okay. It means admitting that you can't control everything and choosing to lean on a higher power that knows the bigger picture. This is an act of strength because it requires humility and the willingness to let go of your ego's need to be in charge. It takes a deep kind of bravery to say, I trust that there is a reason for what I'm going through, even if I don't understand it right now. When you surrender, you're not handing over your life and then sitting back passively, hoping things will magically work out. Instead, you're actively choosing to release the tight grip of fear, anxiety, and self-doubt. You're making space for faith to grow. Faith that what is meant for you will come at the right time. Faith that even the struggles you face are shaping you for something greater. Surrender is a decision to stop resisting and start cooperating with the flow of life. It's important to see surrender as a powerful step toward healing and growth. When you resist what is happening, you create tension inside, like trying to swim upstream against a strong current. That resistance drains your energy, breeds frustration, and can make you feel stuck. But when you surrender, you align yourself with the natural flow of life, which is full of unseen wisdom and purpose. You move from struggle to peace, from confusion to clarity. Surrendering also opens the door to miracles. When you release your tight grip on how things should be, you create space for new possibilities. You stop blocking blessings by clinging to old fears or limiting beliefs. Imagine your hands clenched tightly around a small stone. You can hold on to it forever, but what if your hands were open instead? You'd be free to catch something better, something bigger. That's what surrender does. It frees you to receive the good that's waiting for you. Another aspect of surrender is learning patience. Trusting a higher plan means understanding that timing matters. Sometimes you want answers, results, or change immediately, but life doesn't always work on your schedule. Surrender teaches you to wait with hope, not with frustration. It's a trust that everything is unfolding as it should, even if you can't see it yet. This patience is a sign of deep faith. It shows that you believe in the process, not just the outcome. Surrender also transforms your relationship with control. Instead of trying to micromanage every detail, you focus on what you can do, your effort, your attitude, your choices, while trusting the rest to God. This balance brings peace. You're doing your part, but you're not burdened by the need to force or fix everything yourself. It's a partnership, where you act with intention, but leave the results in divine hands. The power of surrender is evident in the way it changes how you face challenges. When you stop resisting, fear loses its grip. Instead of being overwhelmed by uncertainty, you become grounded in trust. You begin to see difficulties not as punishments or setbacks, but as lessons and opportunities for growth. This shift in perspective is freeing because it turns pain into purpose. Surrender also deepens your connection with God. When you release control and place your life in God's hands, you're opening your heart to divine guidance. You're inviting God to lead you, to comfort you, and to carry you through what you cannot handle alone. This relationship brings comfort and strength, reminding you that you're never truly alone, no matter how hard life gets. It's important to remember that surrender is a process, not a one-time event. You might find yourself wrestling with control and fear one day, and then letting go the next. That's normal. Each time you choose to surrender, you build your faith muscle. Over time, surrender becomes easier, and your trust grows deeper. Ultimately, surrendering is one of the most powerful acts you can make because it acknowledges your limits while embracing the infinite power of God. It's a recognition that you're part of a bigger story, a story where every trial has meaning and every delay has purpose. This awareness frees you from the burden of trying to do it all alone. When you surrender with faith, you're not giving up. You're stepping into a new kind of strength. You're saying, I don't have to carry this by myself. I choose to trust in a plan greater than mine. And in that trust, you find peace, courage, and hope to keep moving forward no matter what lies ahead. Holding on too tightly to your problems can hold you back from your purpose and growth. It sounds simple, but so often we cling to our struggles like they define us or somehow keep us safe. Maybe it's the pain, the disappointment, or the fear that if we let go, we'll lose something essential: control, identity, or even hope. But what if holding on too tight is actually what's keeping you stuck, trapping you in a cycle of pain and preventing you from stepping into the life you're meant to live? When you hold on tightly to your problems, you create a barrier between yourself and the freedom you're searching for. Problems can become like heavy chains around your wrists, limiting your movement and weighing down your spirit. You carry them everywhere you go, and over time, they shape how you see yourself and the world. You might start to believe that you are your problems, that your failures, your fears, or your past mistakes define who you are. But this is far from the truth. Your problems are part of your story, yes, but they are not the whole story. When you clutch them tightly, you resist the possibility of healing and change. You resist the idea that you can grow beyond your current pain. Growth requires space, and that space can only be created by loosening your grip. When you let go, even just a little, you give yourself permission to breathe, to heal, and to open up to new possibilities. Letting go doesn't mean ignoring your problems or pretending they don't exist. It means acknowledging them and then choosing not to let them control your life. It means trusting that there is something greater than your struggle, a purpose waiting for you on the other side of your pain. When you hold on too tightly, you're often holding on to fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of change, fear of losing what's familiar. But fear is a liar. It keeps you small, it keeps you stuck. One of the hardest parts about letting go is the uncertainty that comes with it. When you release your problems, you enter a space where you don't have all the answers, where the path isn't clear. That feels scary, but it's also where growth happens. It's in that uncertain space that new opportunities arise, new perspectives form, and your true purpose begins to unfold. You have to trust that letting go will lead you somewhere better, even if you can't see it yet. Holding on too tightly also affects your mental and emotional health. It keeps your mind cluttered with worry, regret, and anger. It steals your peace. It prevents you from being fully present in the moment because your thoughts are always tied up in what's gone wrong or what might go wrong. When you loosen your grip, you allow yourself to experience life more fully, to find joy, gratitude, and hope even amidst difficulties. There's a powerful freedom in realizing that you don't have to carry the weight of your problems alone. When you put everything in God's hands, you're not giving up your responsibilities or your dreams. You're simply choosing to trust that you don't have to carry those burdens by yourself. God can handle what feels too heavy for you. This trust lightens your load and opens your heart to growth. Growth is impossible without change, and change requires release. When you hold on to your problems, you resist change because change feels like loss. But what you gain through release is far greater than what you lose. You gain clarity, peace, and direction. You gain the ability to see your life from a new vantage point, a vantage point that allows you to move forward with courage and purpose. Think about a seed buried deep in the soil. If it holds on tightly to the shell it came from, it can't break through the earth to grow into a plant. It has to release its hold on that shell to reach for the light. Your problems are like that shell. They protect you, but they also keep you confined. To grow into who you're meant to be, you have to let go. Sometimes, holding on too tightly is also about control. We want to control our problems because it feels safer to manage them than to face the unknown. But true control is an illusion. Life is unpredictable, and trying to control every aspect only leads to frustration and disappointment. The real power comes from surrendering control to God and trusting that He is guiding your steps, even when you can't see the whole path. When you finally loosen your grip, you'll notice a shift, not just in your circumstances, but in how you feel. Your heart feels lighter, your mind clearer, and your spirit stronger. You become open to healing, open to love, open to new dreams and possibilities. You start to live with intention rather than fear, with hope rather than despair. In this process, you discover that your purpose isn't defined by your problems, but by how you rise above them. You realize that growth is born not from clinging to pain, but from releasing it and stepping into faith. You learn that letting go isn't losing, it's gaining everything you were meant to have all along. So, if you find yourself holding too tightly to your problems, remember this: your grip is what's holding you back. The moment you choose to let go, even just a little, you take the first step toward freedom, purpose, and growth. Trust that God is ready to catch what you release, and that He has something far greater waiting for you on the other side. Life's challenges are part of a bigger story that God is writing just for you. This is a truth that's easy to say but hard to fully grasp, especially when you're in the middle of pain or confusion. When things don't go as planned, when doors close or dreams feel shattered, it's natural to wonder why. You might ask, why me? Why now? What's the point of all this struggle? But what if all these challenges aren't random or meaningless? What if they're pieces of a divine puzzle designed specifically for your growth, your character, and your destiny. Every difficulty you face has a place in your story. It's not just an obstacle to overcome or a test to pass. It's a chapter in the book of your life that adds depth and meaning. Think about how stories work. The hero rarely has an easy path. The challenges shape the hero, build resilience, and create the opportunity for transformation. Your life is no different. The struggles you encounter are shaping you into the person you are meant to become, preparing you for the purpose you're meant to fulfill. When you understand that your hardships have purpose, it changes the way you face them. Instead of being overwhelmed by pain, you begin to see it as a signpost on your journey. You start to ask not just why me, but what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? This shift in perspective is powerful because it turns suffering into a tool for growth rather than a reason for despair. God's story for you is unique and personal. No one else has the exact same path, and no one else can fulfill the purpose you were created for. This means that every challenge, no matter how difficult, has been allowed by God for a reason. Sometimes that reason is clear immediately, other times it's only revealed years later when you look back and see how everything fit together. Trusting in this bigger story requires patience and faith, believing that even when you don't understand the plot, the author has a plan. Challenges also teach you reliance on God. When things are easy, it's tempting to rely only on yourself. But when life gets hard, you're reminded that you need a source of strength beyond your own. These moments push you toward God's hands, inviting you to lean on His wisdom, comfort, and guidance. The bigger story includes not just your growth, but your deepening relationship with the divine. Another way to see challenges as part of a bigger story is to realize they prepare you to help others. Your experiences, especially the painful ones, equip you to be a source of hope and encouragement to people facing similar struggles. Your story becomes a testimony, a living example that even in hardship there is purpose and redemption. This adds meaning not only to your pain, but to your entire life. It's important to remember that challenges don't define your identity. They're part of your journey, but not the destination. The bigger story is about who you are becoming, not just what you are enduring. When you keep this in mind, you can face difficulties with courage because you know they are temporary and part of something eternal. Sometimes life's challenges can feel unfair or overwhelming, and that's human. It's okay to feel hurt, confused, or angry. What matters is not denying those feelings, but holding them in the larger context of God's story. You can bring your pain to God honestly and trust that He sees the full picture, even when you can't. When you embrace the idea that your challenges are part of a divine story, you're empowered to live differently. You stop wasting energy fighting what is and start using your strength to move forward with hope. You begin to trust that every setback is a setup for a comeback, that every closed door is leading you to a better one. This perspective doesn't mean life will be easy or pain-free. It means that no matter what happens, you are never outside of God's plan. You are never forgotten or abandoned. Every tear, every trial, every moment of struggle has purpose because it's part of the bigger story being written just for you. Your story is unique, full of twists and turns, highs and lows, but it's guided by a hand that loves you deeply and knows the end from the beginning. The challenges you face are not detours. They are part of the path. And as you walk that path with faith, you become a living proof that God's plans are good, even when they don't look that way at first. So when life gets tough, remind yourself that you're in the middle of a story far greater than what you see. God is writing every page with care and intention, crafting a narrative that includes your growth, your healing, and your ultimate purpose. Trust the process, keep walking forward. Your story is unfolding exactly as it should, and it's one worth believing in. Choosing to trust God brings peace, hope, and strength even in the darkest times. This choice isn't always easy, Life can throw unexpected storms, loss, disappointment, confusion, fear, and in those moments trusting anything feels almost impossible. Yet it is precisely in these darkest times that trust becomes a lifeline, a source of light that cuts through the shadows. Trusting God doesn't mean pretending everything is fine or ignoring the pain. It means anchoring yourself to a hope greater than the present difficulties. When you choose to trust God, you're making a conscious decision to believe that no matter how hard things look, there is a purpose and a plan behind it all. This kind of trust is not based on what you see or feel, but on faith in the character and promises of God. It's a trust that God is good, that He loves you deeply, and that He is working all things for your good, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. This trust brings peace because it shifts your focus from the problem to the provider. Instead of being overwhelmed by what's going wrong, you begin to rest in the assurance that God is in control. There's a freedom in knowing that you don't have to carry the burden alone, that someone greater is handling the details, the timing, and the outcome. Peace arises when you stop trying to fix everything yourself and instead lean into God's strength. Hope naturally follows peace. When you trust God, you start to see beyond your current struggles. You begin to believe in a future that's brighter than your present situation. Hope is the light that keeps you moving forward when the road is rough and the destination seems distant. It reminds you that your story isn't over, that better days are coming, and that God's promises are true. Strength comes from this trust as well. It's not a strength that comes from your own power or resources, which can easily run dry, but a supernatural strength given by God. This strength helps you endure hardship without losing heart. It empowers you to face challenges with courage and resilience, knowing that you are supported by an unshakable foundation. Trusting God also changes how you respond to fear and anxiety. When worry creeps in, trust acts as a shield, protecting your mind and heart from being consumed by doubt. It gives you a place to turn to, a refuge where you can find calm amidst the chaos. Instead of spiraling into despair, you anchor yourself in the truth that God is faithful and His love never fails. This choice to trust is an act of surrender and humility. It means admitting that you don't have all the answers, that you can't control every outcome, and that you need help. It's a powerful declaration that you believe God's wisdom surpasses your own and that His timing is perfect. This humility opens the door for God to work in your life in ways you can't imagine. Trust is also about perseverance. It's a daily commitment to hold on to faith even when circumstances don't improve right away. Sometimes trusting God means waiting patiently, continuing to believe when the answer seems delayed. This perseverance strengthens your character and deepens your relationship with God, teaching you to rely on Him more fully. Another beautiful aspect of trusting God is the peace it brings to your heart and mind. When you trust, you stop carrying the weight of fear, doubt, and control. You exchange those heavy burdens for rest and calm. This peace is not dependent on external circumstances, but is a deep inner calm that sustains you through any trial. Choosing to trust God also brings clarity. When your heart is anchored in trust, you begin to see your situation from a different perspective. You start to notice the lessons, the hidden blessings, and the opportunities for growth that pain often masks. This clarity helps you make wiser decisions and move forward with confidence. Trust invites you into a relationship with God where you can bring your fears, doubts, and questions honestly. It doesn't require perfection or blind faith, but welcomes your vulnerability. This relationship becomes a source of comfort and strength, reminding you that you are not alone in your struggles. When you trust God, you become a beacon of hope to others. Your faith in difficult times inspires those around you to hold on and believe that they too can overcome. Your trust becomes a testimony that encourages and uplifts, showing the power of faith in action. Ultimately, choosing to trust God transforms your life. It changes how you face challenges, how you handle uncertainty, and how you experience peace and joy. It frees you from the chains of fear and worry, replacing them with a confident hope rooted in God's unchanging love. So even when life feels dark, when hope seems distant and strength seems gone, remember that trust is your anchor. By choosing to trust God, you invite peace to calm your heart, hope to light your way, and strength to carry you through. This trust is not just a feeling, but a powerful choice that shapes your journey and leads you toward a future filled with promise. When you truly put everything in God's hands, you release the weight of worry and the burden of control. You step into a peace that surpasses understanding, a hope that never fades, and a strength that carries you through every storm. Trusting God doesn't mean the road